All right. So I got some food sitting here, but it's really hot, and I need to kind of like settle down. So I thought I'd make this video. Um, you're probably already know from the title, so it's not gonna be any big surprise. I passed the CDL test. Um, it was not pretty. It was scary, ugly, stressful. So in my other video, I talked about they delayed the start today because of bad weather. Oh my goodness. So I started, I was the very first one from CDL University, and I started my test at about 10 a.m. And I got Section A. Awesome. Well, Section A is the one I've studied the most. So I did Section A in the coupling. I have no idea what my percentage was or anything like that. He didn't tell me. I passed both of them. I'm pretty sure that I didn't miss anything. And then on my in-cab, I'm pretty sure I didn't miss anything. And then I did my straight back, and the mirrors were so poorly adjusted. Like, I tried to adjust the mirrors as much as I could, but the mounts for the mirrors were so far inward that whenever I turned the mirrors to look down the trailer, it was looking like out that direction. It didn't look straight down the trailer. It looked like out at an angle. If I turned them to look straight down the trailer, I would barely see any of the trailer. And the thing is that there's so many people slip seating these trucks that you can't go and adjust the mount points so that the mirrors are perfect. So it's really hard to tell if you're going straight backwards because both of the mirrors are at weird angles. I mean, they're looking down the trailer, but at an angle, and each one of the angles are different. It's hard to describe. But the straight back was not easy because of that. Like, the trailer, after I went all the way through, the trailer started veering off in another direction when I didn't have anything to judge distance with on it. It was not pretty. I had issues starting the truck. The truck was just clicking whenever I tried to start it, and then I turned the fan off on the heater and the HVAC or whatever. I turned the fan off and then it started. That's some wonky thing. Like, we haven't driven this truck before. We drove it one time for about 2 hours to do parallels and offsets, and that's the only driving we've done in this truck. And that kind of ticked me off that we did not get drive time in the truck that we were going to be testing in. So yeah, there were all kinds of weird things. The city horn didn't work, but the tester, or examiner, or whatever said just go on. So then I did my offset. My offset, because we haven't had a whole lot of time to practice in this truck, your reference points are a little bit different in this truck. And I came in on my offset really close to the cones. I was in the hole, but because of how badly the mirrors were adjusted, I was afraid to back up and try to, just continue backing up because I was so close to the cones. If I was confident in, my mirrors, then I would have just corrected it and, drifted it a little bit away from the cones. But I was so scared of going across the line that I did a pull forward and moved the trailer over about a foot and then just straight backed it. I don't think I used any points on my straight back or my offset, which is really good because I drew the alley dock. And we've only gone through Gary's presentation. He does this presentation about DPS, telling you where to park, telling you about the a couple of the weird intersections you go through and what to look for on them and stuff like that. And what else was there? He goes through a whole bunch of stuff about DPS, and one of the things he goes through is on the alley dock, how to line up at DPS to match the way that we're lining up in our practice. Well, it was really hard to distinguish where exactly to line up, and I forgot which pole he told us to line up with. I thought he said pole 4. But I think Russ told me after I took my test that it was pole 5. Well, wherever I lined up, I didn't take the loop like big enough. My trailer wasn't straight when I started the maneuver, so I had to pull forward like an extra truck length just to straighten out my trailer, and then I had to straight back to what I thought pole 4 was where I was supposed to start the maneuver, but it wasn't. So basically, after I did my setup to get my angle, I was already lined up with the dock, so I was way too far back. So I just had to completely wing the alley dock. I just pulled forward as much as I thought I needed to and then did the thing. And I used, I don't know, probably 4 pull-ups, and I think I encroached once. It was not pretty. I was so terrified about my points. I was like, oh my god, I'm going to go over on my points on the alley dock. This is so bad. And I finally managed to get it in there. I used my get out and look to double check how far I needed to back up to make sure I was in the box. And then I blew my horn. I was like, well, he didn't stop me, so maybe I did it within the points. And he came up to the door like real slow. Like he was writing on his paper as he was coming up to the door, and I was like, oh my god, I failed on this. And he came up to the door and he said, congratulations, you passed. And I was like, oh my god, are you kidding me? My setup was so bad. I sat there telling him like I didn't think I was gonna make it in the points. He said, yeah, your setup was kind of like off. And I hated the way CDL University had us doing the setup. They had us doing one of those, you set up way away from the alley dock and do a flat. The way I do this in the real world is I come in like really close, depending on where my tandems are, because you need to account for tandem swing whenever you. But I come in and then I pull back out and then I do like that. So my trailer's already at an angle going in, and my tractor's at an angle, and you just it's so easy to alley dock that way. But they have us doing this stupid flat alley, flat setup on the alley dock. It is a ridiculous way to alley dock. I hate setting up that way. But hey, that's what they taught us, and that's what they told us we had to do when we tested with their equipment, so that's what I did. I managed to get it in there. It wasn't pretty. I don't know how many points I used, but I probably used almost all of them. So first part is the inspections. I think I did amazing on the inspections. I think I nearly aced, or probably did ace the inspections. And then I didn't use any points on my straight back or my offset. And then the alley dock I probably used up, you have 12 total points between all 3 of the maneuvers. I think I used almost all 12 of those points on the alley dock. And then on the road driving, I honestly don't know how well I did. I think I did quite well. I think I rubbed a curb. I don't think I went over a curb, but I'm pretty sure I rubbed my tires on. I went out, okay, here's the thing. They told us that the route that we're going to test on, you're not going to have to go into another lane of traffic. You can legally make every turn on the route. So I went out as far as I could. I cut back at the last second that I could, and then I hugged the line, and my tires still rubbed. It was one of those, I was coming this direction, and the road that I was turning into was cut back just a little bit. It was a really, really tight turn, and if CDL University wouldn't have told me that I can make every turn without crossing the line, then I would have swung wide and crossed into the other lane to make this turn, but they gave, in my opinion, kind of bad advice. I don't know. It was not pretty. That was the only thing that I think I did on the road test that was sketch. Also, he asked me about a sign that I passed, and I just passed 5 or 6 signs. It was a school zone. So there was a pedestrian sign, there was a school zone sign, there was this sign, there was 4 or 5 signs. And he said, what was the sign you just passed? And I was like, which one? I said there was a pedestrian sign, there was a sign about a school zone, there was a sign about kids at play, and he said it was the one about a light, you're approaching a light. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm not sure if he marked me off for that. But after that, I started calling out all the signs. And he asked me, and I called out every bridge height that I saw. He asked me again on the sign, and it was an icy bridge sign. I got that one correct. But aside from rubbing that curb and then not knowing which sign he was talking about because I passed so many of them, I don't know how many points he marked me off on the driving. I did catch myself speeding once. It was a 40, and I was going 42, and I quickly slowed down. I don't think he noticed. That scared the hell out of me. I was like, and then when he told me to do a safety stop, the only time we've ever talked about a safety stop was during Gary's presentation. We've gone through one of Gary's presentation about what the CDL test is going to be like. And in that, he said at some point they're going to tell you to pull over, and you need to pull as far to the right as you can. And he told us that the spot that they were going to have us do it at, we would be able to pull completely off the road. And I forgot what he told us to do during that. So he told me to just pull over, and it was a spot where I could not pull off the road. So I had to pull over and stop in the lane of traffic. I turned on my four ways, and I told him, before he said anything, I said, if I'm going to be stopped here more than 10 minutes, I'm going to put my triangles out. And I'm not sure if it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes, but he said, okay, that's good. That's good enough. Go ahead and go again. And I was like, okay. I have no idea what a safety stop is on the CDL test, but apparently I passed it. Like, he told me to go ahead and take a right on a red, and I was like, do I have to? And he was like, no, but you can. And I was like, I don't trust it. I'm gonna be super safe during this test. I'm waiting on the green. And he was like, all right, you can if you want. We'll just be sitting here a while. So it was all good. He had me switch lanes a bunch, and every time he had me switch lanes, there was a car in the other lane. And one of the times, like, okay, I think he had me switch lanes 3 times, just randomly switch lanes. We weren't switching lanes for anything other than to just, like, test me switching lanes. 2 of the times, the cars were just sitting there matching my speed, and they were far enough away, back that I could safely move over. One of the times, though, the car was going like 10, 15 over the speed limit, and I had plenty of room to move over, and I put my blinker on, or my indicator, and I started to move over, and I said, this guy's moving way too fast. I'm going to go ahead and let him get by. I turned my indicator back off, stayed in the lane, and he went flying by me, probably going 20 miles an hour faster than I was. And I said, all right, it's clear now. I'm going to go ahead and move over. But I don't know if I got marked off for that, like if I was supposed to force my way over or what. But yeah, the roads were pretty decent. There was snow, like in the about a foot of the lane down the right side. There was like a snowbank there, a small one. I was afraid to get into that snowbank and get my tires jerking. But I passed it. When we got done, and I was walking back in the building, Russ, the instructor that drove the truck down there and is setting with the truck all day, was standing outside, and he was like, and I just shook my head like that. And then I went in, and it was a ton of paperwork. It was probably 10 to 15 minutes of me sitting there while he filled out paperwork, the examiner. And then he gave me a piece of paper, and I went, once I finished with him, I went over to the waiting area, and they were like, so what happened? And they were like, did you pass? I was like, yeah, I passed. And Russ was like, the instructor, he was like, well, then why are you shaking your head at me? And I was like, to make you sweat, to make you nervous. So I told them, about my screw up on the alley dock, and I almost failed on the alley dock. And I told them about the starting the truck issue, and I told them that the city horn didn't work. That was about it. And I asked Russ if I needed to go back to the school today, and he said no, I can go home. Go to the tag agency, get my license, go home, and then be at the school tomorrow. And I called the school and got a hold of Johnson, the owner's son, and asked him if we were going to do a makeup day for the Wednesday snow day. Uh, USA Truck wants me to start orientation on Monday, and I was trying to find out if we were going to do a makeup day on Monday or if I would be able to start orientation on Monday. Johnson transferred me to Jennifer, the paperwork person, and Jennifer told me that she didn't know I needed to call Gary. So I called Gary, and Gary told me congratulations, all that good stuff, and I asked him, I said, hey, I got a company who wants me to start orientation on Monday. Are we doing a makeup day? And he asked me if I missed any other days aside from the snow day, and I told him no, just the snow day. And he said, no, you're good. You can go to orientation on Monday. I got you covered. So, doesn't sound like I'm going to have any makeup days. Me being home on Wednesday on a snow day, they're counting that as a school day. I was just studying the pre-trip that day at home. So got my license. I'm all done. Tomorrow is going to be, a casual day at CDL University, and I don't know what we're going to do. I think he said last week's class, all of them, well, 4 of the 5. They can only test 4 in a day. 4 of the 5, the 4 that passed, they just did inspections for a couple of hours, and then he cut them loose for the rest of the day, so they only did like a half a day. I don't really care how long he keeps us there, but now that the CDL test is over with, all of my free time can be spent getting ready to go to orientation. I sent Joan Wiley, the recruiter at USA Truck. I went to the tag agency because Oklahoma's weird. DPS fills out the paperwork and tells the tag agency what to do and gives you a little piece of paper that says what the tag agency needs to do. So then you have to drive to a tag agency, which is a privately owned business that has nothing to do, well, I guess they have something to do with the Department of Public Safety, but they're the ones that actually print out your CDL and stuff, and you pay money to. So I drove to a tag agency next to my house, Northwest Tag Agency, and they printed out my CDL for me, and I paid I think it was $83, but there was a 2.5% fee for using a credit card. So it was like $87 that I paid. And when I left there's a little Chinese place. It's one of those places where there's like 100 of them in town, and they all have the exact same menu. C19 is the sesame chicken. That's one of my favorites. So I got some food there, and while I was waiting on the food, I sent Joan a text. Joan Wiley, the recruiter at USA Truck, sent her a text and said, hey, got my CDL. Let me just pull it up. I said, I just got my CDL. I'm grabbing something to eat and then heading home. What do we need to do to finish this? ? She had sent me a text yesterday telling me, well, I've got it pulled up right here. Good morning, Daniel. I believe tomorrow's your day. Get back with me when you graduate, have a Class A CDL, and I will get you in Monday's orientation, okay? ? Thanks! ! Joan at USA Truck. So that was my response to her, letting her know that I have my CDL now, and I'm ready to get that set up to go into Monday's orientation. I don't know if they're going to need any additional paperwork from me now, or if it's just I'm going to fill it all out when I get there. The application that I filled out was basically just my name, address. I think it was address last 3 years and work history last 10 years, or vice versa. I forget which, but it must have been address 3 years and work history 10 years, because I only filled out one on each. And I've been at my address for more than 3 years, and my previous employer, I was there for more than 10 years. So that made it easy. That's going to be, like, if you job hop in trucking, filling out your last 10 years of work history is going to be a pain. I'll just be like, pull my DAC. Get it from there. I don't remember it all. Well, anyway, I think I'm going to eat this Chinese food. It's probably cooled off enough now. It's a 20-minute video. Man, I was so terrified that I was going to fail the test when I screwed up my setup on the alley dock. I kid you not. When I finished my setup, the trailer was at the very edge of the alley dock, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I did not go forward enough, and I was like, "What? Which one did he say to pull up to?" And it was freaking me out. I managed to get in there. It was not pretty. It was not pretty at all. Everything else, I think I did really well on. Really well. The only thing, like, I just said everything that, not knowing what sign he was talking about, and then I rubbed a curb on a turn. Those are my only two real, like, on the drive test. I'm just sitting here thinking, Keith has a really good feel for the truck. I think he's going to do fine on the drive test. He might mess up on some of the skill maneuvers, the reference point maneuvers. If they would just let him wing it, he would do fine on the skill maneuvers. He has natural ability to back the trucks, but whenever he's doing the reference point stuff, he seems to screw up. The other two, though, Adam and Tremaine, I think they're going way up and over that curb that I rubbed. I think they're both going way over that. They're going to bounce the trailer across that thing. We'll see who all ends up passing. I hope everybody passes it, but we'll see by the end of the day. But here's the thing. If I'm the only one that passes, then tomorrow's going to be a normal class day for our class. I might not get let out early. I may have to sit through the entire day with everybody else if I'm the only one that passes. If the majority of us pass, I'm sure they'll let us out early. Which, again, I don't really care about that. It's not a big deal whether or not I get let out early. The only thing I'm really concerned with is the drive there and the drive back. I don't care when that drive happens, really. I don't want to drive all the way there and sit there for an hour and then drive all the way back. I hate commuting back and forth like that. Like, if they let us out during rush hour, I'm just going to sit there and wait out rush hour. But I'm still going to get there as early as I do to avoid bad traffic and everything. I'm really hoping everybody passes. Even though they were like, I'm not going to get into drama. Yeah, I just hope everybody passes. Everybody's, I'm sure they're all stressed out on finances and stuff. I know that they've been talking a lot about finances and except for Adam. I think Adam's still got a bunch of money from his home sale, so he's not hurting. But maybe he's playing that down. But everybody wants to get to working, so I'm hoping that they get there ASAP and everybody passes and everything. I wish nothing but the best for everyone. But yeah, that's about it. Pass my CDL. On to the next step in the adventure. So this worked out well. I got my CDL a week earlier than anticipated. So the only thing that has not gone according to plan so far has been my vacation time with the company that I left. I thought that I was going to be able to go to CDL school and get paid to do it through 4 weeks of vacation. And then I read the vacation policy, and you don't accrue it all January 1st. You accrue it throughout the year. You can spend it at any time, but if you leave early, then they'll charge you for what you used that you hadn't accrued yet. So that was a nice chunk of change. I think I made about $1,200 a week at my last job, so about $4,800 that just poof. But everything else has been according to plan or has been better than expected. And one of the huge things that's a lot better than expected is going to be the pay when I'm a company driver at USA Truck. It's going to be a lot easier to match what I was making at my previous job. I was making about $1,200 a week. For me to make $1,200 a week at USA Truck, I would have basically had to get around 3,000 miles every week at the pay that they told me back at the end of 2019. At their new pay scale, I don't have to run anywhere near those miles. I'm still going to try to run as many as I possibly can, but my earning potential went up by a couple $100 a week with their increased pay. It's like 11 cents per mile more. So if you're talking 3,000 miles, we'll just do the 2,800 miles. I'm breaking out the calculator anyway. 2,800 times 0.11. That's $300 extra per week. And let's say that I don't get a manual truck. Let's say I get an automatic. So let's do 0.08 cents. 2,800 times 0.08. That's 224. So $220 to $300 extra per week. That's really nice. That puts me, like, I was expecting I was probably going to average about $1,000 a week with USA Truck as a company driver, which would put me $200 a week in the hole. Now with their increased pay, I think I should be able to make the same, if not maybe a little bit more than I was making at my previous job, which will help tremendously with the transition. And then, of course, once I become a lease operator, I should be able to make a lot more than I was making. And they increased the lease percentage from 65 to 67%. I don't think that's going to make a huge difference, but I haven't really run the numbers on that to see how big of a difference it would be. It's probably something like a nickel a mile if you're running, well, I mean, that's pretty easy math. If you're running $2 a mile, 2% would be 4 cents per mile. So it's, 4 cents per mile is nothing to scoff at. It's not huge, but it's nice. So, anyway, thanks for watching. I might make another video today. Like, today is a really big day. We'll see. I might, wait until tomorrow to make another one, as if anybody watches them. All right. Have a good one. Bye.